Hello YouTube, my name is Paul, hope you're all keeping well. Welcome back to another collection video. This time it's the turn of the Commodore 64. A machine that I never owned as a kid. A machine I probably would have liked to have owned as a kid. But never got one. But yeah, so it's highly nostalgic. But probably for only a few games, to be fair. Now I don't have a large Commodore 64 collection, it's not the primary 8-bit home micro that I collect for. That's the Sinclair ZX Spectrum. But I do have a few bits and bobs that, yeah, they do, yeah. Games we all played back in the day, to be fair. So, again, not many. A couple of them are actually compilations, so nothing fancy. I do go for other subsets within the C64, and certainly a couple more I'd like to collect for, but I'm not in any rush to do so. So the Hit Squad collection, which I'll leave in the cards above, a link to my Hit Squad videos for the Commodore 64, which I finally finished collecting that back in January, February time this year, so it was good to finish that. Here's another subset that I'm after, which I'm probably about 90% of the way through, which again I'll do its own videos. So whatever remains then is what's left of the C64 to show you. So there's a bit of Ocean, a bit of Imagine, a Thalamus, System 3 and a few highly nostalgic titles to go through really. So first up, let's go through those nostalgic titles. I've only got one Commodore 64 in the collection, that's the Commodore 64C, which is the Mind Benders pack, which comes with a couple of compilations. There's a couple of games I cannot locate, which I'll probably bring up when I get to the relevant subset. It's probably about 4 or 5 games I picked up recently for the Commodore 64. For the life of me, I can't find them. I certainly haven't sold them. I've probably just stuck them on a shelf of a complete different collection for some reason. But anyway, first up we got 10 computer hits. Now, probably one of 2 compilations that I remember very fondly at my mate's house with C64. The other games that I played that I don't have, like Football Manager, I think I first played that on the C64. I really enjoyed that. I think what else I played that I haven't got. World Cup Carnival, that was quite cool, quite a big box with a patch and wall chart and all kinds of stuff. And then, yeah, these compilations. So the first game I remember quite fondly is Brian Jack Superstar. A very good multi-sport event game from what I remember of it. Now, yes, certainly got rose tinted glasses on for these games because I've played some of them since and they're grim. But at the time I didn't really have much exposure to home micros or arcades or anything like that, so when I played these games I just fell in love with whatever I played. Now, Brian Jack Superstar, I remember really enjoying that game. Now next up, this is one I did pick up. Again, for whatever reason I can't find it. That is Seaside Special by Task Set. Again, another little subset there is quite curious because there's a few games by Task Set I've played before. But again, that one was a bit of an odd one. I think you have to clear the beach of stuff. I haven't played it for a long time. I saw it up and running and I was shocked how bad it looked. Another one that I vaguely remember is Gin Genie. Harry Attack, probably one of the better games on this pack that I remember. That's pretty cool. Chucky Egg probably is the single best game on this particular compilation. That was a great platformer. Always got stuck on the same level, the one with the epoxy lift. A little lift going up through the screen. Couldn't make the jump. But yeah, then that was followed by the next one, which is Mega Hits 10 Great Hit Games. That one. Pretty cool cover. Certainly would have captured my attention back in the day. Again, a few games here, again, highly nostalgic games. Poster Paster. Again, Task Set. Go along just putting posters on billboards really, trying to avoid obstacles. Going up and down the ladder, which is quite difficult to control today because again it's got this weird isometric control. Yeah, whack a few posters on. It's almost like I'm trying to think how you play it. You've got to put multiple pieces of the poster up. Obviously it's got to match and you've got to try and paste it and stop it from falling off at the same time. It's quite clever really. But yeah, again I can't play it anymore, to be fair. Another one I used to like playing was Trolley Wally. Now that was, again, it's got a tune, what's the tune called? Bubblegum? Popcorn? Something like that. It will stick in your head as soon as you hear it. It'll never leave again. for the rest of the day. But again, another platformer that I love. Probably the one platformer that I really enjoy playing. I think I enjoy playing that more than Chucky Egg, to be fair. Even though Chucky Egg now is a better game than Trolley Wally. Ultimania, another platformer I absolutely loved. Putting the pieces of the car together. That was cool. Citroen C5 or CV, what the hell was it called? CV, wasn't it? That's the first car you had to build, and there were some other kind of cars, maybe a Renault or something or another. I can't remember. I can't even get off the first level nowadays, but I used to get to about 2 or 3 cars in back in the day. I used to love that game. Again, another catchy tune. Other ones I can't really remember that well. Son of Blagger, Tales of the Arabian Nights, another Interceptor game. But yeah, that compilation, yeah, both of these compilations, so much nostalgia for me. So I had to pick these up first. Now I'm pretty sure he had one other. May have been 6 hits, 6 computer hits. I have to look it up. But yeah, so I like to get the games that are on here as standalones, but those will do for now. Right, the other miscellaneous games I got then. So the first up is part of the Pisshead collection. I like to get these games that had drunken characters on the front. This is Beer Belly Burt's Brew Biz on the Americana label. I'm not sure who originally published that. I've got a feeling it wasn't originally published in the UK on a full price label, as was the case with a lot of US Gold Commodore 64 games. You went straight to budget like this, or you never heard of them. Again, this is dreadful. It really is. I'm trying to get as many games as possible that are related to alcohol, which you'll never see these games get released today. But yeah, it's a very poor game. Quite common. Most of these games are quite common, to be fair. I said, mostly nostalgic driven. Next up is a Konami game, or Konami game. And that is Track and Field. Can't get this on the Sinclair Spectrum. I'm not sure if you can get it on the Amstrad or not. I don't think I've ever seen it on the Amstrad. But the Spectrum version you can play on the Game Set and Match compilation. Now, to be fair, this version of the game is really good. Much better than the Spectrum version, I've got to say. Yeah, I really enjoy playing it. I've only ever played it once or twice. Now, I may have played it back in the day. I don't remember. But what I did definitely play back in the day was Daley Thompson's Decathlon. Now, I was going to go for a US Gold set on the Commodore 64, but it's quite a large library. So I kind of stopped quite early on before I sort of committed. But it's something I'd like to do in the future, though. This is an Epix game called Street Sports Soccer, part of the Street Sports series. I've got one on the Spectrum, I think it's basketball. But on the Commodore 64 you got 3 or 4 maybe. I'm sure there's a Street Sports baseball. Might be wrong, might have just dreamt that, but yeah, I'd like to get a few more US Gold games for definite. Because like I said before, I think US Gold imported the Commodore 64 games. Re-released them over here and ported them over to the Spectrum and Amstrad later on. I think that's what they've done. Might be wrong. Next up we have one of the games that I mentioned on that compilation. This is Trolley Wally. Already talked about this one. Good platformer, solid platformer. Popcorn music. This was a gift by Stu to the UK about 4 years ago now. So yeah, really pleased to have that. Yeah, not much else to say really. Apart from it's probably one of the most highly nostalgic games ever for me. Off the back of that, I bought another Interceptor software game. So again, I like to collect Interceptor software titles. Unfortunately, I don't have more than just these 2 at the moment. But again, one for the future. That's Wheel-In Wally. I think there's 3 or 4 Wally games. I think there's one called Wally Goes to Rhineland. Now this one's a bit more bland in comparison to Trolley Wally. I think you just got to steer what looks like a wheel through a cavern without touching the sides. Something like that. I can't really remember what it's about. But again, another cheap and cheerful game. But yeah, I can't remember what the other Wally one is called. There's Wally Goes to Rhineland. I'm sure there's one more. So that's it for the miscellaneous titles. Apart from this cartridge game, which was a game that I only remembered the name of it after watching the Silly Steve Commodore 64 video. That is Radar Rat Race. Played played this on the VIC-20 back in the day. Would have been probably the early 80s. 84 maybe. I was still in junior school, I think. But yeah, I love this. Really addictive little game. Just a rat going around a maze picking up cheese. I can't remember if you're chased by a cat or something. I don't remember. I just remember the maze and the cheese. And being a fun game. The C64 version isn't too dissimilar to the VIC-20 version. Again, reasonably priced. I think that was only about 10 quid, to be fair. So next up then we go for some of the subsets that I'm going for. I am unfortunately... Well, I can't find a couple of games to add to the pile of games I've got here, unfortunately. One is a System 3 title, and I think 2 of them may be Flimbos titles. So yeah, I'd love to get a full set of both of these sets, but not necessarily including the compilations. So I've only got 2 System 3 games here, but I have 3 or 4 I think altogether. First one is Flimbos Quest, which again graphically and sonically on the C64 is really good. Just found wanting a little bit I think in the playability department. I found it okay. This I don't believe got a Spectrum release, but it came out on the Amstrad, which I was quite surprised. Yeah. Now System 3 games do hold their value a little bit on the C64. There's games like Vendetta I don't have, Dominator I don't have, some of the Last Ninja games I don't have. What else is there? A few fighting games, aren't there? IK Plus, International Karate, Bangkok Nights. There's loads of games to pick up, so that's kind of my plan really. And this one is a phenomenal driving game. Remind me a little bit of say Chase HQ, mixed in with something like Turbo Outrun in terms of how it looks and plays. Maybe even sounds and plays. That's Turbocharge. It's a huge game. Tell you what, it's got lots of cassette tape to load through. Play this. Again, it's got some great graphics, great music. It's just a phenomenal game, I've got to say. Again, didn't come out on the other 2 8-bit machines. It's a shame it didn't make it on the Amiga, to be honest. But yeah, really pleased with that one. That one's about 7 or 8 quid that cost me. Not overly expensive. But some System 3 games can go for a lot more, especially those Last Ninja titles. So yeah, I've got Flimbos next. Now I am missing 3 games here that for life of me I can't find. I know I have them. I've shown them recently in pickup videos. So first up I've got Winter Camp. Still sealed. Never played it. But I am missing Summer Camp. Again, not an expensive game, not a desirable title. And these will cost you. Even this sealed was only about 7 or 8 quid. Lovely condition though. I've opened a couple of these sealed games up. I kept this one sealed just simply because it looked really nice. And the game, to be fair, doesn't look that great, does it? So Summer Camp is one I'm missing. One of 2 that I'm missing. Next up is another lovely condition game, and that is Creatures. Again, graphically and sonically it's fantastic, and that's what's drawn me to the 2 publishers, System 3 and Flimbos. Their C64 outings are generally excellent. This plays better in my mind than the second one. I haven't said that the second one I couldn't get my head around. That was in quite a recent pickup video, that was, Creatures 2. Yeah, again, Creatures another cheap and cheerful game, but yeah, it's amazing the quality of the games, to be fair. How they look and sound and how they play in some cases. So yeah, Creatures 2 is not there. The other one that isn't there is a game called Heat Seeker. I do have that. Very peculiar game. Not quite sure how to describe it, to be fair. And then Summer Camp is the one I'm missing. Now I'm missing one dual case game that I need to pick up. Probably the most desirable and probably the most expensive game actually. First up is a game called Snare. Never played it. Never played it. Okay, if you played any of these games before, please leave a comment below. Just let us know how they played, because some of these I've never played. This one I have played. This is a shoot 'em up called Sanction. Not a bad game. Got a strange perspective where you're playing it as a normal side-on shoot 'em up. Your radar looks like a top-down version of what you're playing. It's quite cool actually. Not just blips and blops, but it's actually got some quite nice graphics. Again, quite a common one. Snare isn't that common, but Sanction is very common. Probably the most common Flimbos game you might come across. Then we got another shooter called Delta. I've not played this one, but I have played the sequel. Then we got Armour Light, which is the sequel to Delta. Now this is a really good shoot 'em up, a very solid shoot 'em up. It looks and plays better than it does on the Commodore Amiga. Then we got a cheap and cheerful one, comes up quite frequently. Never played this one either, and that is QDex. A lot of these games didn't come out on the Sinclair Spectrum, hence why I've kind of gone for this particular publisher. It's quite unique to the C64, a bit like Interceptor Software, loads of games that didn't come out of the Spectrum, and Thalamus, obviously, System 3, another one. These two are a little bit more expensive. Hawkeye, again, nothing dramatic. The most expensive you're likely to pay for a Thalamus game is probably for the one I don't have, which is Retrograde. Probably looking at about 50 quid for that. The compilations, again, like I said, I probably won't pick them up unless they come up in really nice condition at a reasonable price, but they're probably looking at about £10–15 each for 2 compilations. Then Hunter's Moon. Again, not played this one. Looks a bit like an asteroidy sort of clone at the back. Does it? I don't know. Looks a bit mazy anyway. Maybe it don't look like asteroids at all. So that's Hunter's Moon. So yeah, like I said, missing Retrograde, Creatures 2. There's a couple of games missing. Oh, the other one I have got is Nobby the Aardvark, which has got quite a big sealed floppy disk box. Looks pretty cool, to be fair. Again, where the hell is it? I don't know. The thing is, I'm changing this room around, but at the same time, I'm kind of losing things at the same time. Right. Next up then, we've got a bit of Ocean Software. Now, I've tried to go for games that didn't come out on the Sinclair Spectrum. There's a few old games, a few later releases, a few variants as well, because one thing that's really good about this system is lots of variants. Because Commodore 64 sold really well all around the world, didn't it? It wasn't just in the UK. It sold really well in America. I think it was the best-selling 8-bit micro of all time. So some of these will be variants just for my Ocean collection, just out of interest really. So I've got Hunchback on this Corgi label, which is an Australian label. There's a few of these. I've only got 2. Nothing on the back really. The instructions are on the back. They come in these very brittle cases. Now I would like them all. I did miss out on a few not long ago, but the person wouldn't ship them to the UK, which is always a shame. There's about 3 or 4 that I certainly would have loved to have had. Next up is Chinese Juggler. Good game. Played this for the first time when I actually got this, to be fair. Gave it a go. I'm quite impressed with how it plays. Quite a frantic game. Spinning plates. Just making sure out of the 10 spinning plates you got, none of them crash to the floor. I'm still not quite sure why Batman the Cape Crusader was released like that. It's a floppy disk variant. Excuse the glare. It's again a very well polished and well presented game on pretty much any system you play it on. But yeah, it's a floppy disk variant. I'd love, again, a bit like the Amstrad really, to have every floppy disk variant by Ocean on a Commodore, but that is something I'm not going to do simply because the Amstrad itself has proven to be rather difficult. I think the C64 may be of equal difficulty, if not maybe slightly more. And expensive, because some of those C64 disc games go for a lot of money. Now, again, another variant, which is Nomad. Now, Nomad on a Spectrum only came out in a small plastic case, but this one looks pretty cool. Also came out like this on the Amstrad. I think it's in the wrong case. I'm pretty sure the back of the box there should be black. Then we've got an exclusive, Parallax, which got a re-release on the Hit Squad label. Forgot to mention a lot of those Thalamus games came out on the Kicks label, as did some of those System 3 titles. Again, Parallax is a really cool shoot 'em up. Not one I've gotten used to be fair. Yeah, quite a nice one to have in the collection. Then we got a game that took me forever to find on the Sinclair Spectrum, and that's Tank. I'm not sure what the C64 version plays like. Again, don't come up very often, surprisingly. Spectrum version is extremely hard to find, but the Commodore 64 and Amstrad versions I have seen 3 or 4 copies. It's not quite as scarce. Then we got this 6-shooter compilation, which is again a unique Commodore 64 compilation. So there's a few more I need, I think, for the compilation wise, but standalone games, I think I've got all the Ocean ones for the Commodore 64. So you've got Mikey, which is extremely difficult game to find on the C64. Extremely difficult, and therefore probably very expensive, because it's a nice desirable title to own. Whizball, Terra Cresta, Hypersports, Head Over Heels and Parallax. And you got a German variant of the Great Escape, just called Escape. We thought it was great, the Germans clearly didn't. Yeah, pretty cool. There's another variant I would like from Germany called Target. I wonder if you can guess what Target is. That's a German variant. Leave that in the comments box below. Target I would like. By Ocean and Imagine. I'll give you a bit of a clue. Haven't said that now, you should bloody get it 100%. Right, clam case stuff. I love these clam cases. You only got one or two on the Spectrum. On the C64 you got a few. I'm missing one. It eludes me. So first up we got Comic Bakery. Again, a unique game for the C64. Well, it came out on other 8-bit machines like the MSX, I believe, or not the MSX. I saw it the other day on a compilation on eBay. Einstein? Machine I'd never heard of before. Yeah, missing the instructions unfortunately, so I'm on the lookout for that. But Comic Bakery again, never really played it. Great title tune though. Then we got the clam case version of Rambo. Again, this came out in a small case on the Sinclair Spectrum. Then we got Kong Strikes Back. Pretty cool. Bit of a strange one, this one. It doesn't play as you may think it would play. Got a feeling it's got something to do with a roller coaster on the first level. Bit strange. I'm not sure why Kong, mind you, did Kong actually come out on the Commodore 64? Don't know if it did or not. Then we got Hunchback 2, Quasimodo's Revenge. Yeah, it's a shame they didn't come out. I wonder why Ocean released these like that for the C64. The Spectrum got the crappy bloody cassette cases. Bit of discrimination there, I think. Next we got David Thompson's Decathlon, which did come out in a clam case on the Sinclair Spectrum. Didn't want to do that. Classic game, played this as well back in the day, absolutely loved it. Did I play Hunchback on the C64 back in the day? I think I did. Yes. Then we've got Rolands Rat Race. Not familiar with this one. I kind of remember the rat on kids' TV briefly. But yeah, never played that one, even on the Spectrum. Next one is the Transformers. Again, cool clam case. Not played this either. Nope, never played that. And last but not least is a Commodore 64 exclusive, and that is High Noon. It was penciled in for a specky release, but never came out. I quite like this, to be fair. Bit of a shooty game from what I remember. My memory's not great. It was good fun though. From what I remember of it, it was alright. Alright. Just checking these out. I don't think these are actually Commodore 64. Oh, this one is. This was bundled with a Sporting Heroes. So quite a few compilations like this came out with the actual hardware. So I've got two. I think I've got at least two more left to pick up. You know, those games from different systems. Got a box version of Battle Command. It was on floppy disk. Would love this on the Amstrad on floppy disk. Seems to be nigh on impossible to find, which is a shame. But yeah, like I said, I've got a handful of floppy disk games, but not many. I can't believe that I'm missing a few games here. I'm quite surprised. Then we've got some small box games for the Commodore 64 by Ocean. Some of the later releases. First one is WWF European Rampage. Again, didn't come out in Specky or Amstrad. None of these games did. Not a good game. I think WrestleMania is touted as a better game to play. Then we got Lethal Weapon. Quite difficult to find on a full price release. Not as desirable though as its Hit Squad budget re-release. Not a bad game on the C64 though. from what I played of it. It's very good. That's bothered me, that has now. There's some games I can't show you. It's not many. There's a couple of games dotted around, obviously. Next one is a game that didn't get released on the Hit Squad label. It was touted to be released, but never came out, and that is Cool World. Lovely condition. Again, quite a hard one to find. Can go for about £20–25 this one. One of the more expensive Ocean standalone titles, if you like. Yeah, it came out on the Amiga, but didn't come out on the other 8-bit machines. And last but not least, this was a surprise to me, because I never knew this game got a C64 release. I was quite pleasantly surprised. That's Sleepwalker. I don't know. This one surprises many when you kind of show it. Yeah, nice to have this. I could do with an upgrade though. It's not bad, Nick. Just got a bit of slight sun fading, I think, on that side. Like I say, it's not bad. It's just unfortunately I notice it. I know it's there. It's got to go. It's got to be replaced. So that's that. A bit too close to you there. And the only other one. Ha! I was so looking forward to getting Tank on the Spectrum. I picked it up on a Commodore 64 disc as well. Again, not played it to be fair. Came out on disc on the Amstrad, which I do have. Came out on cassette on the Amstrad. But I don't believe the disc version exists on the Sinclair Spectrum. Yeah, that's it. So the other bits I had to show you really were the games that I got from Germany by Quellasoft. There was 4 games that would have been released by Ocean, but in the end weren't, and were released by Quellasoft. A couple of Thalamus games. And there was one System 3 title, and there's another one I bought recently, which you'll probably see in a pickup video when I do a varied pickup video again. That's it. Short and sweet for the C64. If you've got any publishers you would recommend to me to pick up for, any games in particular that I should have, sort of essential games I should have in a C64 collection, then please let us know below. But like I said, primarily I collect for the Sinclair Spectrum, and that's where most of my efforts go in terms of 8-bit micros. So yeah, thank you very much for watching the video. Thank you very much for those who subscribed. See you again real soon. Take care, and bye for now.